U.S. President Donald Trump has arrived in Brussels for what promises to be a fractious NATO summit. He has lashed out at European partners for not spending enough on defense, singling out Germany in particular. Trump says Germany is totally controlled by Russia due to its gas pipeline deal with Moscow and says it should immediately increase its NATO contributions. DW's Terry Schultz reports now from Brussels.
I'm going to tell NATO, you got to start paying your bills.
Donald Trump has relentlessly attacked NATO allies and how much they spend on defense. But it's toward Angela Merkel the U.S. president has directed most of his ire. The German chancellor was again in his sights at a recent rally.
And I said, you know, Angela, I can't guarantee it, but we're protecting you, and it means a lot more to you than protecting us, because I don't know how much protection we get by protecting you.
That guarantee of mutual defense is the bedrock of the NATO alliance. Trump has hinted he might not honor the so-called Article 5 principle for those countries that don't spend 2% of their GDP on their militaries. That new threat coming amid reports he's considering pulling out some of the 35,000 U.S. soldiers stationed in Germany.
Well, we're absolutely right to be nervous, I think.
Sophia Besch, a fellow with the London-based Center for European Reform, says Trump's attacks on Merkel don't just damage her, they strengthen NATO's chief nemesis.
We're seeing the relationship between DC and Berlin being weakened. We see that the way that President Trump singles out Angela Merkel potentially divides Europeans as well. All of that is good for Putin.
Merkel is frustrated by her inability to forge any connection with Trump, despite her skill in managing difficult relationships. The U.S. leader's bombastic rhetoric may have made allies reach for their wallets quicker at first, but it's becoming counterproductive, says Jeff Rathke of the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Germans don't want to be seen as compliant with Trump, he explains, and Americans may be turning against Germany.
Certainly Americans see the United States engaged globally. They want to know that our allies stand with us. And when they hear the president making accusations in particular toward Germany that it's not pulling its share of the weight, as he puts it, I think that has an effect over time.
Many allies spend less on defense than Germany, but escape the Trump tirades.
This is also an opportunity for European leaders to show solidarity with Angela Merkel. You know, the fact that President Trump is focusing on singling her out doesn't mean that everyone can just lean back in their chairs and let her write it out.
But with many of their own records of underspending in the spotlight, European leaders are likely to keep their heads down and let Merkel bear the brunt of Trump on her own.